Hello. This video marks the beginning of a new chapter in our series on the Battle of Siffin. Thus far, we have seen Islam dawn in Arabia under the leadership of Prophet Muhammad. In their several encounters, Ali's clan, the Hashemites, dealt significant blows to Muawiyah's clan, the Umayyads. The animosity became so intense that at the Battle of Uhud, Muawiyah's mother Hind took revenge by mutilating the fallen body of Muhammad's uncle Hamza. Ultimately, in 630 CE, Muhammad took control of Mecca and Muawiyah's family had to submit to him. Muhammad was ever so gracious in his victory and gave amnesty to his bitter enemies. After all, he was the messenger of God and always humane in his conduct. However, it is hard to imagine that the Umayyads would have forsaken their hatred for the clan of Hashim and Ali so easily. Following their 20 years of staunch opposition to Islam and its prophet, the late conversion of Muawiyah's family can hardly be expected to have won them any popularity amongst the Muslims. And with the public opinion against them, the Umayyads would surely lose prominence. What actually came to happen was far from this, as it took a little over 2 years for the Umayyads not to only regain their prominence, but even pave their way to becoming a monarchical dynasty. In 632 CE, the Prophet of Islam's life came to an end. With his passing, Abu-Bakr took control of the power, with one of his main arguments for his rule being that the Arabs would not accept a leader unless he was from the Quraysh. He thus gave authority to the Meccan Quraysh over all other Arabs. Special preference was given to the Maximites and the Umayyads. One example of this is Abu Bakr's choice of commanders in the Ridha Wars. Here, Ikrimah ibn Abu Jahl and Yazid ibn Abu Sufyan, sons of the two former leaders of the Meccan opposition to Muhammad, were given the command of the armies. Abu Bakr also knew that now was the time to expand his territories. Indeed, the Sassanid and the Byzantine empires were coming to their knees from their century-long conflicts with one another. During these conflicts, the Arabs were often bought over by one of these empires for support. But Muhammad had changed this dynamic by unifying the once squabbling tribes of Arabia under the banner of Islam. Hence, Abu Bakr knew that the rise of the Arabs had perfectly coincided with the decline of his neighbors and so planned for an invasion of Syria and Iraq. Here he again chose Yazid, son of Abu Sufyan, as the first commander of the armies to Syria. Abu Bakr did not live long enough to see his plans to come to fruition, and the completion of these conquests came during the reign of his chosen successor and close ally Umar, who by 634 CE had successfully occupied southern Syria and Iraq. Here, Umar continued with his predecessor's choice and made Yazid, son of Abu Sufyan, the governor of Damascus, and after 5 years made him the governor of the entire province of Syria. Yazid would not last long in his new role, as his death came in 640 CE during a devastating plague known as the Plague of Emmaus. His death marks the beginning of Muawiyah's rule over Syria, as Umar appointed him to replace his brother. One of Muawiyah's first acts as a governor was to reform his provincial forces, as the original Muslim army had been decimated by the recent plague. Muawiyah's new army mainly consisted of local Syrian tribesmen, most of whom had only recently converted to Islam. The doctrine of Islam would therefore be taught to them by Muawiyah and his administration. As we move closer to the Battle of Siffin, we will come to see that Muawiyah was a master of propaganda. Muawiyah's Syrian followers would thus develop various beliefs, one of which was that the Prophet of Islam did not have any relatives except for the Umayyads. It was this kind of mentality that made the Syrian army so loyal to Muawiyah. Muawiyah then successfully campaigned against the Byzantines and captured various important ports along the eastern Mediterranean coastline. With this, Muawiyah set his sight on the strategically important islands of Cyprus and Rhodes to gain naval domination over the Byzantines. Let us take a pause and briefly look at a different frontier, as around the same time, Egypt was conquered under the command of a man called Amr-ibn-al-As. Amr had a great desire to rule Egypt, and this desire is going to have a major impact on the upcoming events. Amr's conquest won him wealth and influence. This may have concerned Omar. I say this as history shows that Omar took measures to curb Amr's progress. For instance, Omar carved Amr's conquered Egyptian territories into two administrative provinces and only gave Amr the less significant province of Lower Egypt. Later, Omar even confiscated part of the riches Amr had collected in a manner humiliating to the conqueror of Egypt. For some reason, Omar also decided to reject Muawiyah's request for the invasion of Cyprus and Rhodes, which naturally hampered Muawiyah's progress. However, Amr and Muawiyah would not be held back for long, as in 644 CE, Omar was assassinated and replaced by Osman, son of Affan. Osman was the first caliph from the Umayyad tribe. His father Affan was cousin to Muawiyah's father Abu Sufyan. This familial tie may have helped Muawiyah gain the new caliph's approval for his naval campaign, which he had successfully completed by 650 CE. Muawiyah's conquests may have been carried in the name of Islam, but it is undeniable that they were also bringing him a great deal of wealth and power. Whilst the Qur'an advocates against the hoarding and concentration of wealth for one's sole benefit, Muawiyah chose to spend large sums of money on maintaining a lavish lifestyle and even commissioned construction of a palace made of green marble called Qasr al-Khazra. Thus, Muawiyah's ambitious personality earned him the title of the Caesar of the Arabs. Yet in 656 CE, all this progress had to be put on hold, as in Medina, Osman's house had come under siege. Stay tuned and subscribe to our channel to find out what happens next.